All praises to Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai Ba'asham Rahakadosh. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father. It means He is. Yahweh Shai is the name of His Son. It means He is who saves. Rahakadosh is the name of the Holy Spirit in Hebrew. Today I want to talk about distractions because I did something really amazing today that really kind of changed my whole day and just gave me such a boost and just put me just on top. So and it's just being mindful of distractions, and I'll get the precept first of all. It was in 7 Corinthians, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, and I'll read that the whole of the chapter, and then anything that comes up I'll just try and break it down. Now concerning the things wherefore you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. So that means, to avoid, what is the word? Adultery, fornication. Let every man have his own wife. So the wife doesn't belong to anybody else. And let every woman have her own husband. And let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife not have the power of her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband have not the power of his own body, but the wife. So it's really interesting, isn't it? Like when they're married, and as it says, the two shall become one flesh. The idea is that, if the husband needs a little something, the wife is kind of obliged to help him out. You know what I mean? So, and that is just, guideline, if you want, or a measure just to avoid fornication. But it's, ideally it's good for a man not to touch a woman, not to even to be bothered with that. Do you know what I mean? Because that is kind of carnal at the same time. Defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your continency. But I speak this by permission. And you know what? I'm going to get this in my sword so we can get into the breakdowns of the word. One sec. Defraud ye as potero, to despoil, to keep back. So don't keep back the goodies, unless you're fasting and you're trying to be away from cutting. Like fasting, as we understand it, isn't just food fasting, but it's to fast from all the desires of the flesh, right? Let's see. Yeah, so the Day of Atonement, where you afflict your flesh, right? And prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. Let's see that incontinency. Yeah, want of self-control. Yeah, so if you're kind of getting kind of hungry afterwards, you need to come back together again as husband and wife. But I speak this by permission and not by of commandment. So this is again, so it's really interesting that, there was this talk about whether, Paul's writings were of the scripture, of the law, but he definitely, and they are, because he's laying down the law. But then in this, he's saying this is not part of the law. He's explicitly saying that this is not a commandment. And where he says that, then we take it that it's not a commandment, it's not part of the law. But where he doesn't, we should assume that what he is saying is the law. For I would that all men were even as I myself. And Paul didn't he didn't have a need for women, man. But every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner, and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. And I don't know if he's talking about women or not, unwedded. Yes, it's better not to have a partner. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. And to burn is not talking about hellfire, but it's to burn with lust. Let's see what this says. To burn with fire, to set on fire, to be on fire, make glow. But let's see the actual Strong's definition from kindle, that is to be ignited, to glow, to be refined, or frequently to be inflamed with anger, grief, and lust. There we go. Burn. So he's not talking about hellfire, because as we know, that doesn't exist. The hellfire that is talked about in Revelation is, or the lake of fire, is the thermonuclear destruction of Babylon. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband. And if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother have a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away, because we do not want to cause the fornication. So this is again, going into those whole ideas that, like IUIC talking about how, oh, your partner must be in the truth. No, she don't need to be in the truth. We don't put them away like that. And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. And this goes into the stability, like the Lord has got a plan for everything, man. And if you read the end chapters of Job, and I'll keep on going about that, but he shows how he's put the world perfectly in balance. And he has rules, everything has to, works to his plan, and everything works well. And when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn. When Esau tried to control everything, it all fucks up. I was watching a program yesterday about sperm donors, people that have donated, sperm to different to banks, so for couples that couldn't conceive. And then there was this whole thing where, like, these people 50 years on had, like, discovered they've got about 10 siblings, and some of them had even, sometimes in some cases, in one of the programs I watched, they got together not knowing that they were distantly related, and this guy had populated half the town. And in Esau's defense there, it's like, and it was all done in good faith, or he was trying to maybe help out people that couldn't conceive, but what a fucking mess. What a mess he made. And you got, like, adoptive parents who've got children who have kind of suddenly abandoned them as their parents and gone to seek, that heartache that they've caused by just suddenly looking for their real parents. And then the real parents don't, the donors don't necessarily know them or want to know them. Or sometimes the donors realize that they've got about 20 different children and they're overwhelmed and can't give them that biological paternal relationship. You can't give that much love to 20, 30 people. It's exhausting. So it's crazy. And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now they are holy. So the person who's with, in that relation, who's with you, how there's a covering that comes with them, a mantling that comes with being together with somebody who is of the faith. But if an unbeliever, the unbelieving depart, let him depart. Brother or sister let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God hath called us to peace. For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband, or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? I'm not sure what that means. But as God hath distributed to every man, excuse me, as the Lord hath called everyone to, let him walk, and so ordain I in all churches. Is any man called being circumcised? Let him not become uncircumcised. Is anyone called in uncircumcision? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing, but the keeping of the commandments of God. Let every man abide in the same calling wherein he was called. Art thou being a servant? Care not for it, but if thou mayest be made free, use it rather. For he that is called, in the Lord, being a servant, is the Lord's freeman. Likewise, also he that is called being free is Christ's servant. Ye are bought with a price, be not ye the servants of men. Brethren, let every man wherein he is called therein abide with God. So like wherever you're doing, whatever your role in society is, you don't need to become something else to be of that. So if you in the house, as you know, if you're in a Israelite house, you know, you might be, you know, a wife or a husband or a servant. When you're in the Israelite house, you have that covering and you serve in that capacity in that house to the Father. Now concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Lord, yet I give my judgment as one that hath obtained mercy. And that's really interesting of the Lord to be faithful. That's really interesting. So he's given commandments. Again, going back to whether Paul's writings are law. He's given commandments, so that is law. And it also shows that he was receiving the commandments from the Lord. Now concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Lord. So he's receiving, you know, yet I give my judgment. I suppose therefore that this is good for the present distress. I say that is good for a man so to be. Art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Art thou loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife. So wherever you are, hold your position, stay in your square, and rock with it. You don't need to be in any different position in order to serve the Lord. And if thou marry, thou hast not sinned, and if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. So that again, you know, when you're rolling with this, like, you know, your wife might be doing, you have to be, your eyes be single and fixed on this truth and of the Lord. And they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not. So, you know, you ain't basically, you got to throw off all your baggage, anything like all your past. You go singly focused on this ministry and this truth. And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. You know what I mean? Nobody now get in your ear about what they want and what you gotta get and who you gotta provide for. The people that aren't married has got a stronger focus, but he that is married cares for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. There you go. That's what I was just saying. There is not there's difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman cares for the things. Remember, the virgin is a maid. Let's get that. A marriageable maiden, yeah. So it's not just to do with whether you had sex or not, but kind of. The unmarried woman care for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married care for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend to the Lord without distraction. So he's saying, so again, he's not trying to cast a snare, but he's saying he don't want to try and screw people up by creating this law that means that people will fall into a trap and break the law. But he's just saying this is the best way to be. This is by saying comely and attractive, elegant, of good standing, honourable, influential, going to the Strong's definition, well formed, desirable, I would say, but I can't see it here. But this is the desirable posture to have. Okay, going into 39. The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth. But if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. But she is happier if she so abide after my judgment. And I think also that I have the Spirit of God. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. But the only other thing I want to talk about was, that whole idea of distraction, getting rid of distractions from your life is ideal. And here Paul talks about mainly the distraction of a partner, which of course is one of the biggest distractions you can have, but definitely in that time, but also of the phone, the mobile phone or whatever it is that you're into, whether it's gaming, whether it's internet, whether it's, I don't know, whatever you are into. Make sure that those things aren't taking away your distraction and put them second. And remember what he said, if you're of the world or if you're of a person who's been rejoicing or personal grief or whatever, you should act as if that was not even part of your life. Your focus should be 100% towards this truth. Anyway, I think that's enough. Shalom.